Welcome to the deep dive. You know, in a world that's just absolutely brimming with information, it's a constant challenge, isn't it?
It really is.
How do you actually cut through all that noise, pinpoint what's truly important,
Mm.
and make decisions with like real clarity and impact?
Mm.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into some pretty powerful mental tools, ways of thinking you might already use, actually,
Right.
but maybe haven't fully recognized just how impactful they can be.
That's a great way to put it. And this isn't about, abstract concepts floating around. It's
Yeah.
about four distinct yet beautifully interconnected ways of thinking. These are absolutely fundamental if you want to navigate complex challenges or spark innovation.
Okay.
Think of them as like practical frameworks. They can significantly sharpen your mind, give you a real edge.
And all of our insights today are coming straight from a fascinating source document we've been looking at titled podcast.pdf.
That's the one.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack these essential thinking styles.
Yeah.
Explore their core processes.
Mm-hmm.
Reveal why they're so crucial, especially, when the stakes are high.
Definitely.
And most importantly, show you how to apply them directly
Yeah.
in your own life.
Yeah.
We're aiming beyond just like understanding here. We want to get you to true mastery. So let's dig in.
Let's do it. Our first stop is critical thinking. We're calling this one Think Deep Before You Decide.
Okay.
At its core, this is really about the ability to just pause,
Right.
to question things, compare information, and then decide rationally. It's kind of the opposite of just accepting things at face value.
Yeah, taking things as read.
Exactly. It's truly how people, especially in those fast-paced, information-heavy fields, learn to filter the truth from just the sheer volume of noise out there.
And it's hard to overstate just how vital this is, right?
Absolutely. I mean, think about fields like corporate strategy or finance.
Or policy.
Exactly. Policy, too. A single misstep, it can cost millions, potentially. Critical thinking isn't just, at dodging errors.
It's more foundational.
Right. It's the bedrock. It
Yeah.
lets you rigorously evaluate risks, pick apart logical fallacies, and make decisions that are really grounded in solid data, not just like intuition.
That makes sense.
And, what's often overlooked about critical thinking isn't just its power in evaluating other people's arguments, but it's even greater power, I think, in forcing you to ruthlessly expose and challenge the hidden biases, within your own thinking.
Oh, that's key, the self-scrutiny part.
Exactly. That self-scrutiny, that willingness to dissect your own assumptions, that's often the hardest part
Okay.
and the most rewarding, ultimately.
Okay, so to really see this in action, the source gives us a great illustration.
Yes, the MBA student.
Yeah. Picture an MBA student. She's working on a stock analysis project.
Yeah.
Gets this very, very bullish report urging a huge investment. Now, instead of just taking it as gospel, she kind of hits pause.
Yeah.
Starts questioning everything.
Mm-hmm.
Meticulously cross-referencing historical data, looking at macroeconomic indicators, pulling in all sorts of variables.
Doing the legwork.
Totally. And her critical analysis actually reveals an impending market crash. Her firm ends up saving just a devastating amount of money.
Wow.
Now that's critical thinking doing real work.
That example perfectly highlights the process, doesn't it? Critical thinking generally follows 5 key steps.
Okay, what are they?
First, you identify the issue clearly, like what exactly are you trying to figure out?
Right.
Then you gather and verify all relevant information. Crucial step, make sure it's accurate, complete.
Okay.
Next, you deconstruct assumptions. Actively challenge those underlying beliefs, yours and others.
Get them out in the open.
Precisely. Fourth, you evaluate arguments logically. Look for inconsistencies, flaws in reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, step 5, you draw sound, reasoned conclusions based on all that rigorous analysis.
Got it. So what's the big takeaway for you, the listener, from really, nailing critical thinking?
Well, you'll find yourself making decisions that are just plain smarter
Yeah.
and far less biased, even when things feel uncertain. Plus, you'll develop stronger ethical reasoning skills and feel genuinely confident either defending your own perspectives or, respectfully pushing back on others.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's why those methods like Socratic seminars, where you really dissect complex topics through deep questioning.
Yeah, those are powerful.
Or even debates on tricky subjects like the source mentioned is uber ethical.
Yeah,
They're so good at building this mental muscle.
absolutely. Pushes you to justify your reasoning.
Okay, so from dissecting what is, let's shift gears. Thinking about how we create things.
Good transition.
Our next essential style is design thinking. And we've subtitled this one, create with empathy.
Love that.
This isn't about, traditional blueprints or specs. It's a practical, profoundly human-centered method.
Human-centered is the key phrase there.
Right, for tackling those messy real-life problems that, well, they don't come with easy answers.
Mm-hmm.
And the crucial difference here, it starts with deeply listening, asking questions, not just assuming or telling people what they need.
Right, no assumptions up front.
And it's this beautifully iterative process of building and testing.
And this is absolutely essential for leaders today because, look, it's no longer enough just to solve problems.
Right.
You have to design solutions that are truly meaningful, desirable, genuinely user-friendly.
Okay.
Design thinking builds those vital skills, a deep sense of empathy for your users.
That empathy piece again.
Crucial. The ability to iterate quickly based on feedback, and a natural knack for fostering genuine innovation. It's foundational for success in, say, marketing, product development, entrepreneurship.
Lots of areas. And what's truly insightful about design thinking, I think, is that its core power isn't just in coming up with innovative solutions, but in helping you ask the right questions in the first place.
Ah, yes. Problem framing.
Exactly. It forces you to really define the problem from the user's perspective, which often leads you somewhere completely different and far more impactful than you initially imagined.
That insight really shines through in an example from the source, the Stanford D School.
Oh, the incubator story.
Right. They were challenged to redesign neonatal incubators specifically for rural areas. Now, their first impulse might have been, add more complex features, make it high-tech.
The typical engineering approach, maybe?
Perhaps. But through the design thinking process, they started by deeply empathizing. They observed mothers in these areas literally using simple shoe boxes to keep their babies warm.
Wow. Shoeboxes.
Yeah, this incredibly powerful insight led them completely away from high-tech incubators. Instead, they created a low-cost, washable, heated baby wrap.
That's amazing.
It was a profoundly empathetic solution that perfectly met a real, often overlooked need. Just brilliant.
That's a perfect illustration, then, of the 5-step core process of design thinking.
Exactly. Let's walk through them quickly. First, you empathize. You truly interview, observe your users, understand their world.
How to get into their shoes.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Then you define. Clearly frame the specific human-centered problem you're trying to solve.
Got it.
Third, ideate. Brainstorm a huge number of ideas. We're talking 50 plus. No judgment. Push past the obvious.
Go wide.
Go wide. Next, prototype. Build fast, cheap models of your best ideas. Doesn't have to be fancy.
Quick and dirty.
Exactly. And finally, test. Get feedback from real users, learn from it, improve, and repeat that cycle. Iterate, iterate, iterate.
Until you land on something that really works.
You got it. The benefits of embracing design thinking are just immense. You gain incredible customer empathy.
Which we saw with the baby wrap.
Right. You master rapid ideation and iteration. You get really skilled at effective user testing, integrating that feedback. And crucially, it helps you cultivate a vital tolerance for failure and a willingness to take smart, calculated risks.
That failure tolerance piece is huge, isn't it, in innovation?
Absolutely essential. It's why methods like design sprints, where you might try to redesign a whole cafeteria experience in just a few intense days.
Wow.
Or hands-on prototyping labs where you're quickly sketching out ideas with cardboard and tape. They're just so effective at teaching this mindset.
Okay, all right. Let's pivot again. From human-centered creation to pure, unadulterated, out-of-the-box thinking.
Ooh, I like this one.
We're talking about lateral thinking. We've tagged this.
Yeah.
Jump sideways, not straight.
Perfect description.
This is the ability to connect distant or seemingly totally unrelated ideas to find truly novel solutions.
Yeah.
Instead of that linear logical thinking, A leads to B leads to C. Lateral thinking actively encourages you to leap, maybe A straight to Z.
Uncovering what many call genius in the unexpected.
Right.
And its importance is absolutely soaring, especially today, with saturated markets where conventional solutions often just fall flat.
They don't cut it anymore.
No. Lateral thinking isn't just about being creative in a fuzzy sense. It's the actual engine for breakthrough ideas. The force behind truly innovative campaigns, the driver of strategic disruption.
It allows you to see possibilities where other people just see, dead ends.
Precisely. You reframe the problem space.
And what's really remarkable about lateral thinking, I find, is how it encourages you to just dismantle existing mental models.
Interesting point.
It's not just about adding new ideas, right?
No.
It's about breaking down the frameworks that actually limit your perception,
Yeah.
which allows genuinely fresh connections to form.
You see this brilliantly in an example from the source that just, it makes you smile.
Oh, the Amul one.
Yeah. Amul, the beloved Indian dairy brand, they faced the challenge of responding to COVID-19.
A tough one for any brand.
Right. Instead of traditional, maybe serious ads, their ad team used lateral thinking. They reimagined their iconic mascot, the little girl with masks,
I remember seeing those.
and created these clever slogans like "Butterly Safe."
Brilliant.
It was genius. This approach turned a global crisis into immense brand love and engagement, simply by approaching the problem from a completely different, unexpected angle.
That's a fantastic example, and it perfectly demonstrates the core techniques, right? Lateral thinking isn't just random.
Not at all. It uses specific tools. You can reverse assumptions, for instance. Think about the exact opposite of what you normally do.
Right.
You can use analogies, draw inspiration from completely different fields or situations.
What does nature do?
Exactly. There's also the powerful technique of introducing randomness, like picking a random word from a dictionary and forcing a connection to your problem.
Whoa, eh?
It sparks new pathways. And crucially, you challenge the norm, constantly asking why. Why is it done this way?
Question everything.
And actively break patterns in your own thinking.
So cultivating this skill means you'll develop, what, nonlinear ideation?
Yep. The ability to frame problems in truly out-of-the-box ways, incredible mental flexibility,
Okay.
and of course the generation of unexpected, often brilliant solutions.
Think about methods like reverse brainstorming,
Oh, those are fun.
where you might ask, like, how could we spectacularly fail at customer service?
Right. And it uncovers what not to do, but also sparks ideas about what to do.
Or those random word prompts you mentioned, trying to combine hotel with banana or something.
Yeah. It sounds silly, but it forces your brain off the usual tracks. Could lead to a new service, a new product feature. Who knows?
Fascinating. Okay, finally, our fourth style. We turn inward now to reflective thinking, which is all about learn from what you did.
So important. And often skipped.
Totally. This isn't just like rehashing the past. It's a powerful process of looking back with real intention.
Intention,
And
yes.
move forward more effectively. It's how you truly make sense of what happened, understand the why behind it,
Yeah.
and then consciously decide how you'll act differently next time.
And this is absolutely crucial for leadership development, because true leadership, it really begins with deep self-awareness.
Makes sense?
Reflection transforms raw experience. Things like internships, setbacks, critical feedback, even outright failures.
The tough stuff.
Yeah, it transforms that stuff into meaningful, lifelong learning. Without reflection, experience is just a series of events.
Right.
With reflection, it blossoms into wisdom.
That's well put. And what's truly insightful about reflective thinking, I think, is that while it sounds like looking back, it's actually a profoundly future-oriented tool.
How so?
Well, you're actively designing your next steps based on what you learned, right?
Renegade, gotcha.
You're figuring out how to avoid repeating the same pitfalls, transforming past mistakes into, like, calculated strategies for future success.
Yeah, that's a great way to frame it. Future-oriented learning from the past. You see this in action with a truly motivating example from the source.
Okay.
Imagine a student who just completely bombed a sales pitch.
Ouch. Been there.
Right. Instead of just shaking it off, moving on, trying to forget it,
Yeah.
she engages in reflective thinking. She reviews her presentation meticulously, notes every single flaw.
Hard to do, but necessary.
Very. And then she practices daily, focusing specifically on those weaknesses she identified.
Okay.
Within just a month, that focused reflection, combined with the subsequent action, leads her to win a national business plan competition.
Wow, that's the tangible power of learning from what you did.
Exactly.
So that's a perfect illustration then of Gibbs's cycle, which is a core framework for reflection.
Yes, Gibbs's reflective cycle. It's a great structure. It starts by prompting you to simply describe what happened objectively.
Just the fact.
Just the facts. Then explore your feelings about the experience. Acknowledge the emotions.
Okay.
Next, evaluate the experience. What went well, what didn't. Be honest. After that, analyze the situation. Really dig into the causes and effects. Why did it happen that way?
Deeper dive.
Exactly. Fifth, conclude what you learned. Specifically, what are the key takeaways for you?
Right.
And finally, the crucial step. Create an action plan. How will you apply that learning going forward? What will you do differently?
Makes it concrete.
Makes it concrete and actionable. The outcomes of embracing reflective thinking are foundational. You get enhanced emotional intelligence,
It's huge.
incredible self-regulation and improvement, true leadership readiness, and fostering that indispensable growth mindset.
Believing you can improve.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's why methods like keeping reflective journals, maybe documenting your thoughts weekly,
Yeah.
or even participating in failure stories sessions where people transparently share their missteps and what they learned.
Oh, I like that idea. Normalizing failure.
Exactly. They're so effective. It's all about turning experience into profound insight.
That's powerful.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, it's really important to see how all four of these powerful thinking types kind of come together.
Yeah, they're not totally separate silos.
Not at all. While each is incredibly potent on its own, their true strength really lies in their integrated application.
Okay.
Critical thinking gives you that logical judgment, right, to make sound decisions. Design thinking provides that human-centric approach to solving complex problems.
The empathy piece.
Exactly.
Getting it.
Lateral thinking drives creative disruption and those breakthrough ideas.
Jumping sideways.
Yep. And reflective thinking builds invaluable self-awareness and continuous growth.
Learning from experience.
Right. These aren't just concepts for, MBAs or academics. They are a truly versatile toolkit for anyone aiming to be genuinely well-informed and effective in, any aspect of their life.
That's a great summary. So as you, our listener, go about your day, maybe consider this. Which of these thinking styles do you feel you already naturally gravitate towards?
Good question.
And perhaps even more powerfully, which one could you maybe intentionally develop further, say, in the coming weeks?
And maybe a final thought to leave you with? How might intentionally applying even one of these thinking styles, whether it's in a big business decision you have to make, or a personal creative project, or even just trying to understand a challenging piece of news, how might that fundamentally change the way you approach problems or integrate new information into your worldview?
Something to mull over.
Definitely something to mull over.